Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of Carbonite Convos. This week we're going to bring you a little bit of galactic news. Nick, if you want to go ahead and kick this thing off, man, it's all yours.
Yeah, for sure. So we didn't want to dive too heavy into Star Wars or Marvel this week in terms of movie content or books and stuff like that. We just, with everything coming out about Star Wars video games, we just wanted to give a quick rundown of what's going on in that sense. With the news a couple days ago that EA is planning to double down on Star Wars games from now on. Now, a lot of my information that we're talking about today is coming from GameSpot and IGN. So, the EA CEO, Andrew Wilson, he said a couple things about their partnership with Disney. Let me pull it up really quick. He says, we're going to double down on that partnership because Disney continues to be very committed to the IP and to the canon. Again, these are his words. We have new generation of fans coming to the IP all the time. So our expectation is we think there continues to be a really strong opportunity in and around that relationship and that IP going forward. So as you can tell, they're really going to start amping it up with the Star Wars games, which I'm really excited for. Give me one more second. He goes on to talk about, and all this information came out in a fireside chat between a bunch of EA executives, and they were just talking about how successful these games have been, not only for the Star Wars faction, but just in the mainstream video game area. It's been some of their most highly selling games, with Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2, Jedi Fallen Order, and the mobile game Galaxy of Heroes, which I haven't tried out. I'm about phoned out. I have the game that I play on my phone. I play Clash Royale. Alec does too, but I just can't take on another game. But he says, in terms of the trajectory between EA and Disney and Star Wars, he said, up is my hope, up and to the right. So he says, we have a tremendous relationship with Disney. We have a tremendous relationship with Lucas. We have a long-standing relationship with them going all the way back to Star Wars, The Old Republic, that we launched in 2011. And it's clear that the plan is to just start pumping out more Star Wars games, with the next one being, we've already talked about it, but Star Wars Squadrons, which clearly I'm very excited for. I actually just started playing Battlefront again last week, and I thought I was going to be so behind, but I jumped in, and it's safe to say I'm killing it. It's so much fun. And it's nice.
EA's kind of been a little bit controversial over the past couple of years with the introduction of loot crates, and obviously,
they got very bad feedback in terms of Battlefront 2.
But they saw success in Battlefront 1. Myself, I put
we put hours into that game together.
That was fantastic.
Yes.
The introduction of heroes versus villains, I absolutely killed it as Palpatine. That was kind of my main guy as a villain, and I love to play as Leia as well. But that was great. And then we had high hopes for Battlefront 2. It was kind of a flop at first, but what was really promising about the future of these Star Wars games is how much work after launch was put into Battlefront 2. Additional characters, new skins, little things, adding the yellow lightsaber to Rey, putting on the Gambino skin onto Lando, those sort of things.
And they add new maps. They're done updating Battlefront 2, but the uptick in gameplay from Battlefront 2 is crazy. I know tons of people are playing it. I assume Star Wars fans, but man, I love Battlefront 2. I'm glad that I'm getting back into it. I'm killing it as Vader and Obi-Wan, but yeah, it's awesome. You said something that I wanted to touch on. Oh, back to the loot crates. They got they came under some heavy fire for this kind of pay to advance, I guess. So I know that in Squadrons, they're stepping back from that. They're not going to do that anymore, which I think is a good idea. But yeah, I'm really excited about the future. 100%. Personally, What's up?
It's 100%, man. Like, I
Yeah,
am as
you
well.
you and me had some awesome time playing Battlefront 1 back in 2015 into 2016 and 17. We spent hours on that game, and we crushed
It
it.
was cool. It came at a good time because that was my freshman year of college, and
That was the first year I moved away to
right.
college.
So we didn't really get to hang out anymore or anything like that, and we hop on the PlayStation. Hey man, you want to play some Battlefront? And it was a really cool way to just stay connected and
Yeah.
talk. At least a couple times a week, and just a good way to maintain the friendship.
Definitely.
I'm
Definitely.
also
In Battlefront, go
I'm
ahead.
also interested to see, and I'm excited for more games like Fallen Order and those sort of
Well,
things that are gonna be canon.
they've said that Fallen Order was the first, the first game in a long line of games along that trajectory. I don't know why I'm having such a problem saying that word tonight. So that was just the beginning, and we both finished that game. That was an awesome game. It was the first time you've actually been able to feel like a Jedi.
Controls were a little bit on the wonky side sometimes, but obviously the first time they're doing this thing, I see it going nowhere but up.
Definitely. Like we said, Fallen Order was great. I know this wasn't EA, but have you ever played Jedi Challenges? The VR thing where you have the lightsaber. That's pretty cool. Once you get it's clunky as well, but that was the first time you could kind of do VR. But go on. Do you remember there was an old video game? I don't know what it was called, but actually, shoot, I have the thing right here. Hold up. You put this. It's crazy that I saw. You put this on top of your TV, right? So this is the little sensor, and I just kept it because it's a cool little prop. Like it looks exactly like the one in the movie. You put this on your TV, and then you have the lightsaber, and you're using the TV as VR. So it's pretty much the same principle, but you just have the VR headset, so you can look around, see your surroundings and everything. But those were two fun games. We're kind of getting off the topic of EA, but I think we're just going into a little bit of Star Wars game. What was your favorite Star Wars game
ever?
Older. Let's say before before the new Battlefront, because I know they have Battlefront 1, 2, and Fallen Order. So let's say before that.
I really liked the original Battlefront 2 on
Okay.
PlayStation 2. Those were, to be honest, that was actually my first introduction to Star Wars. Were those games?
Really?
I played them at a buddy of mine's house when we were kids, like real little kids. And funny story, years later, we ended up finding a copy of Battlefront 1 just laying in the street. Not damaged or anything. I snagged that thing, man. I was like, all right, sweet. And this was in like this was probably like, 2009-ish? So it was many years later.
Before that.
Huh?
I feel like it had to have been before that. When it came out?
No.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Years later. It was
After it came out. Okay.
Years later. But I'd say either that or I was a really big fan of the first Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Because
I forgot about
it's
those.
not a canon story, but when I first heard, I'm like, oh, Darth Vader's going to have an apprentice? What? And then I was a kid. I didn't really know the intricacies of like the World War II and those sort of things. But I'm like, oh, this is going to be really cool. I didn't really understand.
I don't know if you know this. You know the dude who plays Starkiller? That is the guy they modeled that is the guy that plays Darth Maul's voice in
Really?
Yeah, in Clone Wars Rebels.
I did not know that.
In Solo. Yeah, he's the voice for Maul. So I thought that was a pretty cool relation. Man, I forgot about Force Unleashed. Those were fun, and I played those. For some reason, I don't know why, but I didn't get those until a couple years after they were out. I remember I was skimming the PlayStation store, and I saw it for like $10. I was like, yeah, I'll get this game, and I loved it. Personally, my favorite Star Wars game growing up was the Revenge of the Sith game. I still tear that up sometimes. I like that one, and then I had this old pod racing game.
Fun fact, that game actually was just released on Switch.
I think it's a different game, though, because this was more like they were like bobbleheads racing.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Either way, it was just released on Switch. Pretty good pickup for pretty cheap.
I remember, when you go to an arcade, you step in. They had one where you could step inside the booth, or they just had one with a screen, and you had the little joystick, and it was like a red square button and then another button, and it was the original trilogy. That's what it was modeled after. I remember we went to Disney Quest. This was the time when you and me didn't go. I remember me and my dad went. And for those of you who don't know what Disney Quest is, it was this 5-story game room. It'd probably be like $35-$40 to get in. Again, 5 stories, all free games. It has anything from Galaga, Pac-Man, all that stuff to, like VR NASCAR races and like magic carpet ride. It was unbelievable.
They had a Buzz Lightyear go-kart like shooter
bumper car.
That was awesome, and that was so much fun. You'd sit in there and you load the ball into the gun and you drive around and just pull the thing and you shoot at your buddy or whatever. It was awesome.
One person's the driver, one person is the cannon. So you'd drive over balls and suck them in. They're like that big. You'd put them in and then you'd fire them at your buddies and they'd like spin around really fast. Man, I can't believe they got rid of that place.
It was so fun, man.
But yeah, that game was awesome. I remember they had that big pod racing game where you get into Anakin's pod racer and you're like moving the actual handles. So they've come out with some awesome Star Wars games over the years.
Agreed.
But yeah, so back to the main topic. EA is supposed to be coming out with a lot more Star Wars games, with the first being this Star Wars Squadrons game. And for those of you who don't know, the gameplay has been released, so it looks awesome. There's going to be a VR version. I'm pretty sure I've kind of seen it confirmed, but not confirmed. It's weird that there's going to be a joystick and like, the old Nintendo 64 cars where you're going to have the joystick and then the throttle and everything.
And
so
make sure you guys check out our reaction video on that trailer when it was released a few weeks back.
Definitely. But I think we're good. I don't think we have any more news.
Just looking forward to the future Star Wars games, man. I know those are always fun, and they don't seem to disappoint too often. So
definitely be on the lookout for next week's episode 2. We have our first special guest. It's going to be Pastor Nate Miller. He's down at Emmanuel
Baptist Church.
Emmanuel Baptist Church. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, next week we'll get it right. Next week we'll put in the links to their website and everything so you can check it out. But yeah, really excited to have him on. We're going to talk about Star Wars and religion. We were supposed to talk about it this week, but we had some minor technical difficulties. So we're gonna push it back to next week. But that's going to be a little bit longer show, so you can prepare for that, because obviously it's hard to cram religion and Star Wars into a little podcast, because you can take classes and courses on it in college. So we're going to try to jam it into an hour, but it definitely won't be able to. But we got a good conversation with him coming up. But Alec, I think that's all I got.
Same here, man.
All right, follow us social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, at Carbonite Combos. We really appreciate all the support. We really want your feedback. Tell us what we could do better. If you have any ideas, please just let us know. But yeah, again, be on the lookout for next week. And until then, may the Force be with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.